Some players really cross the line, but it never ends well. In this video, you'll see the most disrespectful moments in football. Starting with this moment, where a Fiorentina player almost ended up in the hospital. From the start of the game, West Ham fans were shouting insults at their rivals. But the worst happened when Biraghi took a corner kick. Man, that must hurt. But what happens when Messi loses control? The Argentinian clashed with a Roma defender and started a fight.
Oh, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous, and they're lucky. They're lucky both to be on.
Messi made it clear he doesn't like being disrespected. He even got a yellow card for it, but it seemed like he didn't care at all. But what they did to Cristiano Ronaldo was even worse. Diego Simeone did this in front of the Juventus fans during the Champions League. The game had ended 2-0 when he did it, and maybe he thought he had already won. But no one disrespects Cristiano Ronaldo like that. In the return match, Ronaldo scored 3 goals. Not only did he eliminate Simeone, but he also returned the taunt at the final whistle. Both had to pay fines for their obscene gestures, but what will be remembered is how Cristiano humiliated Simeone that night. But in this case, Ronaldo wasn't the victim. His time at Manchester United was already rough, and what he did this day only added fuel to the fire. After a terrible game, he left the field angry and did this to a fan. The phone was completely destroyed. Neymar totally humiliated Haaland. In the first game between Borussia and PSG, the Norwegian was on fire, and he did this celebration in front of everyone. And worse, after the game, he posted this on social media. But this disrespect didn't go unnoticed by Neymar, who in the return match knocked Borussia out and did this. Mbappe joined in and even went live to taunt. And to top it all off, Neymar posted this on Instagram with the caption, "Paris is my city, not yours." Haaland picked the wrong person to disrespect. But that's nothing compared to what Suarez did. And no, I'm not talking about the bite. In 2011, he hurled racial insults at Patrice Evra. The Frenchman said years later that he had to hold himself back a lot to not react violently. Suarez was found guilty of racial abuse and suspended for 8 games. But the disrespect didn't stop there. Fans and even players came onto the field wearing shirts that said "Support Suarez." So sad. This happened to Mbappe in the World Cup. He tried to waste some time by pretending he was hurt, and Godin did this. Grealish totally lost it. After being fouled, look at what he did. Because of the insults, both ended up getting yellow cards. This wasn't the worst thing that happened in the Premier League. Look at what Antony did to an opponent. But La Liga can be way worse than the Premier League. Look at what the Valencia fans did to Vini Jr. Not only did he have to hear insults from the fans, but some players, including Brazilians, made statements supporting the racism. The whole world saw the consequences of this bizarre fan behavior in an interview.
Eu só queria jogar futebol, só quero fazer de tudo pelo meu clube e pela minha família.
And this wasn't the only time this happened in Spain. In a Barcelona game, someone threw a banana at Daniel Alves to insult him. Check out what the player did. Things went over the line in a World Cup final. The whole world stopped when Zidane did this in the last game of his career. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Years later, he gave an interview saying that before the headbutt, Materazzi had said some really harsh insults about the Frenchman's mother and himself.
Sorriso meio de lado e sai andando. Mas Materazzi continua e provoca. Xinga a irmã de Zidane de prostituta. 2 vezes. Depois, termina usando outro pesado palavrão dirigido ao próprio Zidane.
What happened in this El Clásico will make you feel disgusted. The first match between Real and Barca after Figo moved to Madrid was chilling. The Catalan fans didn't leave the striker alone, but the boos were just the beginning. They threw fake money onto the field and unfurled a giant banner with the player's face on a huge banknote. All this because he left Barcelona for a better salary at Real Madrid. It wasn't just about losing a player to a rival. Figo was an idol at Barcelona, and switching sides in Spain was humiliating for the club and its fans. In that same game, a fan did something that went down in history. When Figo went to take a corner kick, they threw a pig's head next to him. The match was immediately stopped, and from that moment on, Figo went from being an idol to being the biggest traitor in football history. Well, at least for Barca fans, because at Real Madrid, he became almost a god. Now, I wonder, how did the fans manage to bring something like that into the stadium? This other player is also hated by an entire fan base. While in Brazil, Diego Ribas, a former Juventus player, scored a goal and celebrated on top of the opposing team's crest.
Chegou a tocar a bola, Rogério, e agora eles vão de novo para cima do assistente.
Speaking of crossing the line, this goalkeeper did something unbelievable. Of course, he got a red card for it. What they did to Adebayor is unbelievable. When he moved from Arsenal to Manchester City, fans even threatened him and his family. But months later, he got his revenge by scoring a goal against his old team and running the entire field to celebrate in front of the Arsenal fans. Even chairs were thrown onto the field, but it was definitely worth it. Now tell me, what's the most disrespectful thing you can do in women's football? It's probably this. Milan fans went over the top with Donnarumma. In a game against PSG, the fans threw fake dollar bills with the goalkeeper's face on them and called him a mercenary for switching clubs. Another PSG player who went through this was Dembele. Barcelona fans didn't forgive the star during a Champions League game. He had been signed by the Spanish club to replace Neymar, and they didn't pay cheaply for Dembele. But this time, there was a total flop, mainly because he spent more than a season injured. And even when he was fit, he did this. And the worst part is, when he finally left Barca for PSG, Dembele kept taunting the fans. During the entire quarterfinal match against his former club, he kept laughing and provoking his opponents. In the end, the Barca team won the game 4-1. But what went down in history was Dembele's total disrespect for Barcelona. Messi can't stand Lewandowski. After this ball challenge, the Argentinian wasn't happy at all and made Lewa feel embarrassed. After what the referee did, Neymar walked off the field. In this game against Başakşehir, Mbappe, Neymar, and all the other players left the field after the fourth official insulted a team of the Turkish team's coaching staff because of his skin color. Even the players from the other team refused to play. Leave a like on this video if you would have done the same. And don't forget to subscribe. This next moment is a disgrace to the world of football. In the middle of a crucial play, the goalkeeper injured his knee and collapsed on the ground in pain. The problem is that the opposing team simply did this. In this moment, Cristiano almost got into a fight with another player. That's why referees always separate players before corner kicks. But no one had it worse than this goalkeeper. Trash talk before a penalty is normal, but this goalie went too far. And to make things even worse, after scoring, the kicker decided to return the disrespect. What a shame. But it's not just in men's football that disrespect happens. Look at what happened to this goalkeeper. Instead of kicking the ball out of bounds, the opposing players did this. Even after the goal, the goalie was still on the ground screaming in pain, and they still gathered to celebrate. Now check out what Richarlison did in the middle of a match. These juggling tricks made his opponents so furious that they did this. But did Richarlison go too far? After all, Ronaldinho did way worse things, and everyone loved him. And that's why the beautiful game is dying these days. But what do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and get ready, because this next moment is unbelievable. Drew Yearwood has always had a temper, but in this match, he crossed the line. He got mad over a foul and decided to boot the ball in frustration. The problem is, the ball hit a fan square in the face. He even climbed the stands to apologize, but it didn't lessen what he did. And he ended up getting a red card. Is pulling his shirt allowed? This player was so desperate to stop the counterattack that he created a hilarious scene. He ended up being dragged halfway across the field, and all he got was a yellow card. Now look at this ball boy who tried to be funny and got what he deserved. The player was so mad he was ready to fight right there, but luckily the referee intervened. Speaking of players who went too far, look at what this Tottenham striker did. Knocking his opponent down wasn't enough. He had to step on him too, and from the look on his face, you could tell it hurt a lot. But something even worse happened in this other play, where Mané almost knocked out his opponent. And the worst part is that he only got a yellow card. This player ran over the opposing team's coach. The entire bench came after him and he ended up getting a red card. If you thought that was bad, get ready, because what they did to Messi in this match will make you super angry. And that's because he was getting fouled the entire game. The saddest part is the referee did nothing. But one of the most disrespectful moments in football history happened against Real Madrid. This player got injured in the middle of an important play and asked to stop the game. But Haidara didn't care at all. In the end, he not only failed to score, but also got a reputation for being dishonest. Cristiano Ronaldo went too far in this moment and embarrassed himself worldwide. The best in the world started picking a fight during a match, calling Florenzi short. He later tried to say he was joking and hugged his rival, but it didn't help at all, because just a few minutes later, Florenzi made Ronaldo look foolish. This American player did something very similar to his short opponent. But he got what he deserved when an opponent his own size stepped in. But that's nothing compared to what this player did. He got angry for missing a scoring chance and decided to take it out on the defender. But stepping on the guy's neck definitely crossed all boundaries. After all, this play could have easily ended in the worst way. In the 2022 World Cup, Messi did something unacceptable. After a highly charged game against the Netherlands, an opponent went up to the Argentinian to shake his hand and apologize, and this was Messi's response.
Un poco caliente por el final.
¿Qué mira, bobo? ¿Qué mira, bobo? Anda para allá, bobo. Anda para allá.
Tranquilo, Leo.
This player did something both brilliant and completely disrespectful. Ale started celebrating before he even kicked the ball. What an embarrassment. And, of course, the rival fans didn't like it one bit. But in this moment, Messi went too far. The opposing defender had just been injured, and the ball was at Messi's feet. But instead of stopping the game, he did something crazy. And believe it or not, Messi is hotter-tempered than you might think. Click the video on your screen right now to see the worst moments of anger from the star.